I'm the chairman of the board for the Coppell Chamber of Commerce, and let me officially welcome you. The Chamber of Commerce has hosted this is the fourth forum we have had. We did one for the Board of Trustees for the Coppell ISD, one for the City Council, and one for the mayoral race. This is the final one for Texas State Representative District 115. I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming tonight. We have 6 out of the 7 candidates here, and we're going to go ahead and kick this off here in just a minute. We're thrilled you're all here. I'm going to now hand it over to Tony Moline. He is the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and he is going to moderate tonight. Tony.
Good evening. I welcome everybody again to the Candidates Forum for District 115. Thank you for being here. I see some familiar faces, and I want to thank the candidates for being here. We've gone over kind of the rules of the game, but I'm going to go over them one more time. Each candidate is given 2 minutes to give an introduction, and we'll go in alphabetical order, and we're going to move down the row. After that, I will start asking questions. Each candidate is given 1 minute to answer that question. Our timekeeper, Lori, has the cards right there, so you should be able to see them very easily. When she puts that stop sign up, I will cut you off, so just fair warning. After that, you're given 2 minutes to make some closing remarks, and so we'll try to keep this to an hour. Okay? We are going to start with opening remarks. Ms. Fabishek? It is now.
Hi there. I'm Mary Claire Fabishek, and I'm a Democrat. And I have a PhD in history. I've taught at Texas A&M University. And currently I work with students getting their GED. And this year, as the election looms, I'm very concerned about several issues in particular, the first of which is education. This last session, the legislature drastically cut education funding across the board. And this has resulted in larger class size, overworked teachers, fewer resources for our students in elementary and secondary school. This is not a formula for success in our schools. And we only get one chance to educate our children, and we need to get it right. Secondly, when you go to junior colleges, community colleges in Texas, which educate close to 800,000 students a year, the tuition has been raised, which means students pick up more of the price, their families are taxed more with it, and in addition, local taxpayers also pay more. As a result of these cuts, these junior community colleges have had to increase their class sizes, offer fewer classes, and admission to things like the nursing program has been delayed. I know students that have had 3 semesters waiting to get in, and nurses are seriously needed in Texas. But most importantly, when these students don't get educated in a timely fashion, they're not there to serve as workers in small business. And as a former small business owner, I'm very strongly pro-business, and I know that small business cannot expand unless it has favorable tax policies, which I don't think the margins tax is, and also a ready supply of well-trained workers. So this is a very important issue for us. In addition, the health care of women and children is an issue in this coming election. Women are a major part of the workforce in small business, and also when women aren't healthy, their families don't do well. When children aren't healthy, the women aren't at work. So taking care of the health care of women and children is vital. Please consider me. Find out more about me at maryclarefortexas.org, and thank you very much for having me tonight.
Ms. Grimmett, and please, y'all are more than welcome to continue standing, but you can also just stay seated if you want. So that's
Standing
up to you.
is a place of power. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Lib Grimmett. I am running for District 115 as a Republican. I'm the only candidate on the panel that grew up here. My parents moved to Farmers Branch in 1957, and I am 58. So we've been in the district for 54 years. With the exception of going to college, I have lived here all my life, so I have seen how things have changed. I'm also the candidate that is not endorsed nor is entrenched in the Republican Party. I am what I consider myself the citizen candidate. I know that a lot of people are like me. For years, I went and voted. I trusted my elected officials to do what was right for me and my district. And about 7 years ago, I got involved in local politics in Farmers Branch because it was affecting my mother. And so, you know, I'll own that. I did not do much until that happened. But when it started affecting my mother, who was 80 years old, I had to step up to the plate. Since then, I have watched the Texas House, I've watched our city, and I've watched the federal government just implode with political jargon from both sides of the aisle. So if you're the person who has sat at home and watched some of this political stuff go on and thought, my gosh, what in the world are they doing? I voted for this guy or this girl, and they just got sucked in. Well, that's me. I am you. I am that person. The only thing that I'm in this race about is to go down and represent the people of my district, to make sure that they know what is going on. I have learned a lot being in this race about what does go on in Austin, the good and the bad. And I think that we, the people, as the government of this country, deserve to know exactly what goes on. So I'm asking for your vote in the primary. It's going on right now, and May 29th. Thank you.
Dr. Nguyen.
I'm Steve Wynn, and I'm here to ask for your vote. I think a lot of you here have heard about my life story, about my family, losing family members, fighting communism, trying to preserve our freedom. Now, 37 years ago on this date, I was a 7-year-old boy floating at sea without a country. And with the help and blessing of a great Christian church and many other generous Americans, my family and I, we found our way to Texas and proudly became Americans. Now, October the 5th, 1983 is a real special day for me. That's the day that I officially became an American. Now, unlike Michelle Obama, I've been a proud American ever since. Now, today, I'm a doctor, a business owner. I've served on the Comptroller Business Council, the Governor's Health Council, and now even a candidate for state office. I mean, I'm living the American dream. As a family man with small kids in public school, I certainly understand the importance of education and the need to protect Texas families. I'm an active member in my community, active in 5 different local chambers, active in my kids' school district as a volunteer, and also active helping out their Coppell sports team. Over the years, I've been very active in the Republican Party as a donor, a volunteer, serve as precinct chairman, poll watchers, a delegate to the last 3 state convention, and will be to the next one too. We've got a lot of challenges in our country today. As a doctor, I'm extremely concerned about Obamacare and the government's takeover in healthcare, and this needs to stop. Low taxes and less regulation. Those are the reasons why Texas has done so much better than the rest of the country. I'm a free enterprise guy. I want small government, less taxes. I'm pro-family. And as an immigrant myself, I strongly oppose illegal immigration. Folks, if you share my values, send me to Austin, and I'll fight for yours. Thank you.
Mr. Olivo.
Tony, I want to thank you and the Chamber for coming back here again. Seems like this is, I don't know how many times, about 10 times, different forms. But it's been great, by the way, very interesting. My wife is here, Lynn is here, and Lori, my manager there. I want to thank you. I'm extremely honored to be running for this office. As a veteran and so forth, I believe that we have our duty to do the best we can for our country. I'm running because I believe in our nation. I believe in the way our life, in our communities, and I believe if you look at our qualifications, take all of us, look at our backgrounds, I think you'll determine that I am the best qualified for this office. Now, I am not the person with the most money or the most endorsements, but I am the best qualified. And I came in this race because people who asked me, they wanted somebody who had the background. I have balanced, being on city council, mayor pro tem, I have balanced budgets. I know about potholes, I know about things like that, government agencies. And I'm running because I believe, number one, term limits. We're all running basically because we're tired of our elected officials, Republican and Democrats. We need to change. Term limits, I believe in that. I believe in controlling immigration, and I believe in handling the issues of, for example, education. I think we have some really big problems we need to do, and I think I can do it. As a businessman, as an attorney, I can handle that if you give me a chance. For the end of the leave, well, thank you very much.
Mr. Ratliff.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate the Chamber putting this on tonight. After 8 or 10 or 12 forums, I've lost count at this point, it's finally glad to have one back in Coppell. back in familiar turf in a room I've been in hundreds of times. So I appreciate y'all putting it on, and thank you for hosting it. For those that don't know me, and I think I know all of y'all in the audience, I'm Bennett Ratliff, and I'm running for state representative in District 115. I'm your hometown candidate. I'm the candidate from Coppell. I'm the guy that's been serving on your school board for the last 9 years. I'm the guy that raised a family here for the last 18 years. My wife and I have been tireless volunteers in town for the entire time we've lived here. My business is here. I've created jobs here. And for the last 9 years, we've balanced a $100 million budget for your school district. We've done it by lowering taxes 18%. We've done it without laying off any staff. We've done it with providing an excellent education for our children. And as of this year, we will be the top-rated large high school in the state for distinguished academic program for all of our graduates from Coppell. I'm proud of that record as a school board member. Those are things that we work hard to do in Coppell ISD, and the reason we do that is because, number one, we listen to our constituents. Number two, we pay attention to the details. And third, we work hard and really concentrate on doing a good job for our taxpayers and our citizens, and most of all, our students. Those are the skills I bring. I'm a business owner. I'm a civil engineer. I'm the only engineer running in this race. I'm the only engineer. As engineer, I'm trained to solve problems, to go to Austin and solve problems. The thing that distinguishes me is I'm the only one on this panel with leadership experience. I'm the only one on this panel that's got 9 years of history in this community. I'm the only one on this panel that's been a tireless volunteer and has the track record to prove it. So I would appreciate your vote. We'll talk more about our details later on, but Bennett Ratliff for state representative. Thank you.
Mr. Rinaldi.
Good evening. Thank you, Tony, for having me here. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the Chamber putting this event on. It is finally great to reach the last candidate forum before the initial election. It's been a long road. My name's Matt Rinaldi. I'm the conservative candidate for House District 115. We're truly blessed as Texans. We live in a state that has fared well during very tough times. In one of the largest economic downturns of the last 100 years, Texas has performed better than all other states. We've created more jobs in the past 10 years than all other states combined. We've maintained an unemployment rate about a full point below the national average, and we've attracted 5 million new Texans to help grow our economy. And we haven't done this because we're lucky. We've done it because we've resisted the urge to do what almost every other state in the country has done, and that's raise taxes during these tough times and grow government. That's why I'm running. Next session, we're going to be $15 billion in the hole to start the legislative session because of Obamacare and federal health care mandates. There's going to be tremendous pressure to raise taxes. And I have pledged, and I believe I'm the only candidate on this stage that's pledged and signed the governor's budget compact, promising not to raise taxes and promising to limit the growth of government to the rate of inflation plus population growth. We need to keep the strong pro-business policies in Texas intact. We need to resist the urge to do what other less successful states have done in tough times. And we need to make the difficult choices when we look at our budget. Not only that, we need strong, principled conservatives who are going to be unapologetic in seeking to protect life, protect our Second Amendment rights, enact strong immigration reforms. And that's why I'm running. I'm Matt Rinaldi, running for House District 115. Thanks.
And now we move on to the question section of the program. Again, you'll have 1 minute to answer the questions. Ms. Grimmett, we're actually going to start with you. Okay. Knowing that if elected, you will be representing District 115, what will your top 3 priorities be once you're in Austin?
Well, I think the top priority is our budget. We have some major work to do there. And I will tell you that I don't know everything. Some of my opponents, I guess, know everything. I don't. I have a cousin who is a CPA, and he has pledged to help me look at this massive budget. He is a brilliant CPA, and I intend to let him help me see where we can cut. The second thing that I think needs to happen is we spend $8.9 billion in this state a year on illegal immigration social services. That's out of control. It needs to stop. Texas is behind the curve on all the other states that have done interior enforcement, and that is because of the leadership that we have in Austin right now. And I guess lastly, education is a huge thing. I know that I don't know the most about education, and I will bow to Bennett on that. But I think that there has to be some things that we can do to make it better for our kids and their futures. Thank you.
Dr. Nguyen.
Well, with only about 20 seconds for each topic, I would say jobs in the economy, healthcare, and public education. Again, low taxes is what has kept Texas above the fray as far as the economic downturn. Now, you look at some of our taxes that we still tax on the franchise tax. The way that's formulated, some business who do not make a net profit, has a loss, still liable to pay taxes. We tax things that we know stimulate growth in the economy. So that thing, those needs to be fixed. Healthcare, we can go on forever, but in Medicaid alone, last session we underappropriated by about $5 billion, and that's before Obamacare coming. That needs to be fixed. Public education, we all know that the funding formula is very unfair for Coppell and Carrollton Farmers Branch. It doesn't need to be tweaked. It doesn't need a Band-Aid. It needs a complete overhaul. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Mr. Livio.
Thank you, Tony. There's a lot of things I can talk about. As a small business person, I can talk about that and so forth. But really, what I want to talk about and what makes you unique to the situation is that I am for term limits. One of the things that we have in the state of Texas and also the federal government is that people stay there forever. They live in White Houses, either the one in D.C. or Austin. They stay there forever. That's like, to me, that's like living in housing, the president and the governor. I think it's time for Perry to go home. That's it. Let him go home, number one. Number two, immigration. I am the only person who has handled immigration matters, immigration attorney, and I lived on the border as a soldier. I have handled that. And I want to address that and push the state and the federal government to get off their asses and do something, if not go home. And number three, education. To me, education is fundamental. But for the fact that somebody cared about me and told me that you have to in school learn English, English is my foreign language, by the way, I'd probably stop. Okay.
It's time.
But anyway, those are my three. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mr. Ratliff.
In the next legislative session, there's going to be really two top priorities. One is going to be education. The second is the budget. But the third for me is going to be our state infrastructure. Education is going to be a priority next session because right now there are multiple lawsuits winding their way through the courts, and there's a very high probability, if not a certainty, that once again we're going to be in a constitutional crisis about the way we fund our public education system. Now is not the time to send somebody to Austin that doesn't understand it. I've been a student of it for 20 years. I've been on the school board for the last 9 years. I know the school funding formulas. I know them forwards and backwards. I know the impact that they have on our local districts. I know how the funds are collected, how they're distributed, and how we fund our schools from the valley to the panhandle. Now is not the time to send somebody to Austin to learn that. It's going to be a constitutional crisis that we've got to solve. On the top of that, our infrastructure is in serious need of some attention. I'm the only engineer in the group. I'm the only one that understands infrastructure issues. Our statewide water plan, our statewide mobility issues, those are going to be critical next session as well. And I think we need an engineer in Austin to help solve them. Thank you.
Mr. Rinaldi.
First priority is going to be balancing the budget without raising taxes. I think it's important for our economy and the growth of jobs in order to do that, as I noted in my opening. Second priority is going to be to enact some real limitations on growth in the size of government. Right now we have a cap that's based on GDP and personal income. It can be overridden with a simple majority. I would propose a constitutional amendment to limit it to the rate of inflation plus population growth. And third, and certainly not least, is education. I think we need to return more local control to our schools by eliminating the countless mandates that the state currently imposes on our school systems, so we can free up money for the local school districts to find efficiency and to put more money towards our teachers and in our classrooms.
Ms. Fabishek.
Start until I'm ready. Well, of course, as I said in my opening statement, excuse me, education is a high priority, as I know it is to most people in Coppell. I mean, education is what has made our community the strong community it is today. But in addition to that, all of the issues that have been mentioned here, roads, infrastructure, these are all important, particularly jobs, because without jobs, education isn't going to matter. I mean, it will matter, but it won't. You need the jobs for people to get to work. And I also think that without support for small business, I am a former business owner. I know that small business is the backbone of our economy. This state, big business takes care of itself, it always has. But small business needs support. Without support for small business, we will not have the jobs we need, which will keep everything else on an even kilter in our state.
The next question is, a special session was called in 2011 in part due to public school funding. Please tell us what thoughts you have on funding public education and how you will represent public schools in your district. Dr. Nguyen?
Well, as most of you know, or funding formally came many, many years ago, 19, 20 years ago, was not really a blueprint for a long-term solution of how we fund the schools. As you know, we call it Robin Hood, many folks, and it goes back to what they call targeted revenue for each district. Way back when, that's a big part of how they decide the funding. And I understand that and I get that we do need to have good public schools throughout the state. However, the way that it's funded now, there are districts that spend less money more efficiently, and you can see that on the comptroller FAFSA study, and I think we've talked about that the last time. But there are districts that spend less money per student, yet are donor district to district that spend more money per student and getting worse results. On top of that, we have times where local districts vote voluntarily to increase their own taxes for the schools, yet not all of it stay in the local district. That needs to change.
Mr. Olivo.
Thank you, Steve. Tony, thank you. As all of us know, our educational system that we have now is broken, has been broken since World War II. And I've said this before, but my priority is to try to fix the system. You cannot keep feeding it money, money, money. It is not going to change. It's like fixing my son's old Jeep. I mean, he had it for a long time. We keep, fixing. Finally, it died. I mean, so we have to do something to change the system. So I would like to concentrate the first session on education, and then go to the other programs. And by that I mean we have to expand the whole system of education. We need to go back to not assume that everybody can go to college. Not everybody goes to college. We need to talk about trade school, magnet schools, everything, all the spectrum, do that. And then the other thing I like to do that's very important, fundamental to me, and maybe Bennett will agree with this, I don't know, but that is learning English. If our students cannot learn English, they can't do anything, math, science, or anything. Thank you.
Mr. Ratliff.
I think the question is about school funding. In 1992, when the school finance bill was passed, it was passed in a constitutional crisis, just like we're going to have this time. It was intended to be a temporary solution that would last 2 to 4 years. We've had it for 20. It was also written with formulas that were based upon the state paying at least 50% of the revenue for public schools. We now pay 33%. That's what's wrong with the formulas. We're not living up to the original intent of the way it was passed, and therefore it's broken. That's why target revenue was introduced about 6 years ago, is because the state had to figure out a way to rebalance the table. So what we've got to do is we've got to get to Austin, we've got to relook at the formulas from square one. We've got to relook at how things are funded from the beginning and where and how we got there, and figure out what the state wants to pay for as a basic education in this state, figure out how the state's going to pay for it, and then free up the districts beyond that point to have local control of their curriculum, their resources, their budget, and their tax rate, so that the local citizens can decide with their local school board trustees how much they want to invest in their education. Thank you.
Mr. Rinaldi.
First of all, regarding Bennett's claim that there's going to be a constitutional crisis next session, I completely disagree with that. The previous court cases have been evaluating the constitutional requirement of efficiency in our public schools, and up until now they've interpreted efficiency as meaning equity in funding. That's not the case, and there's actually one of the school lawsuits right now that's trying to get to court the rule that you can find efficiencies through competition. What I do think we need to do for school funding, court cases aside, is we need to free up local school districts by eliminating some of the, I believe in 2011 there were 78 state mandates on our local schools. And one of those mandates, for example, testing, imposes about $400 million worth of costs on our local school districts, and that's just one of those mandates. I think we need to free up local school districts so that they can find efficiencies in funding and return money to our local schools.
Ms. Fabishak?
At least they don't have a big pole.
It's tough coming at the end of a question like this because a lot has been said. But like Bennett, I do believe that there are structural inefficiencies in the way education funding is managed in this state. Am I losing it? I lost my thought. We keep putting bandages on a program a system that's broken. Robin Hood was a bandage. They're looking for another bandage. Is this okay? And in addition, I also feel that we need to stop dealing with charter schools and vouchers. We've built an infrastructure, we've trained teachers, we have in-services. We don't need to be funding alternative education systems. No smart businessman would build his own business and then look across the street and say, oh, but let me support your business. And that's what we're doing when we support charters and vouchers. I don't agree with those, and I think that that's part of the problem for our schools, is that public education is seen as almost optional for some people.
Ms. Grimmett?
Okay, I am a product of the private school education, okay? I'll tell you that up front. I own it, I'm proud of it. My parents worked very hard to put me in private school, and they paid for somebody else's kid to go to public school. With that said, I have lots of friends who went to public school and graduated valedictorian and salutatorian and are, smarter than I probably am. My things about the school system that I know of are ESL classes. I believe in total immersion. I do not believe in coddling these children all the way through the 8th grade. They either need to learn English or they shouldn't be in our schools. It holds our children back. I'm totally against the tax test. That should only be a test that a teacher and a parent decides to find out where that child is in the scale of things, so that they know where to help that child have a better education. Back to the task test also is, oh crap, okay, sorry. I hate it when that happens. You don't, hey, I am who I am, okay?
We'll just edit that out in a minute.
No, go ahead.
Transportation is important to residents who commute on a daily basis, but Coppell also has many businesses which rely on transportation. Keeping construction on time and maintaining our roads is done through the gas tax. Please tell me your thoughts on an increase in the gas tax. Mr. Olivo.
Tony, thank you. Well, I mean, the gas rate now is like 8.25. That's what we're paying now, basically, or cents. And I think that's enough. I don't think that the idea of raising taxes on people that use the car and the gas is going up and so forth. Of course, it is down. It's been down a little while now. But I'm against that. I'm against it because I don't think we can afford it. Most of my people that work for me cannot afford to pay more taxes of any kind, especially gas taxes, because they have to get to work. So I would be against raising any more gas taxes. And I would try to find a way, other ways as far as transportation. Now, I am for the partnership of private and public and tollways. I think that even though it may be a necessary evil, it has upheld a lot of stuff. For example, in Carrollton, it was paid for Bush Tollway, which I was on city council when it happened, and also DART. So when you combine private and public, you can fund things different ways. Thank you.
Mr. Ratliff.
Short answer is no, I'm not for an increase in the gas tax. But to expand on that a little bit, number one, we've got to do a couple of things before we even talk about the revenue side of the equation. I've been working with TxDOT for my whole life. I've been down to headquarters more times than I can count, and I'll tell you, the old story about one guy digging and three guys watching doesn't just happen in the field. It happens in the office too. We've got to slim down the size of the TxDOT bureaucracy. We've got to get that organization more efficient. That's number one. Number two, we've got to end diversions out of the gas tax fund. Many years ago, in the effort to try to fund education, they took a large chunk of the gas tax to pay for schools. Well, the gas tax isn't supposed to pay for roads. And the gas tax is not supposed to pay for things like the Commission on the Arts. It's not supposed to pay for other things. It's supposed to pay for streets and highways. And we need to get back to number one, ending the diversions out of the gas tax fund. And secondly, we've got to get more efficient in how we spend those dollars so we can get more bang for our buck and reduce our reliance on toll roads. Thank you.
Mr. Rinaldi.
No, I'm not for increasing the gas tax. That's one of the challenges we're going to have next legislative session is on a set amount of money, how do we provide for our three greatest priorities, which is education, transportation, and water. And transportation does not require an increase in the gas tax. I think first we have to end diversions from the gas tax. Currently about 40% of the transportation funds diverted to other causes, including like was mentioned before, the Texas Commission on the Arts and Texas Film Commission. I think we need to take that money, put it back in the fund before we look at other revenue sources. And once we do that, it's not at all clear that we need more revenue. In 2006, the Texas Transportation Commission estimated that our infrastructure needs through 2030 would require $188 billion. If we project out the first 6 years through 2030, we're spending right now at a rate where we'd spend $183 billion. So it looks like that might do
It's
it.
time. Ms. Fabishek.
The last gas tax was passed in 1990, and I don't know if any of you can imagine anything you bought in 1990 costing the same today, or the 20 cents in 1990 bought what it does today. In the intervening years, our cars have become more efficient. They've gone from 10 miles a gallon to 20 miles a gallon, even more. There are more alternative energy vehicles on the road. There are more Priuses. The gas tax is a major way of paying for our roads. What we've done as a substitute is go to toll roads. And I investigated toll roads, and it's striking, it's stunning. If the state of Texas builds a road that competes in any way with a toll road, they are liable to pay the toll company for any loss of revenue. There's a lack of transparency with toll roads. There's a lack of equity for the state of Texas, and we've mortgaged our children's future for the next 50 years. Right now, most of the Texas budget, TxDOT budget, goes to service its debt.
Ms. Grimmett.
I don't believe in raising any taxes right now. I think we have to look at everything. As far as TxDOT is concerned, it's another one of those mean-o agencies that seems to go unchecked. They recently added a new member of that agency. I don't know what his salary is and I don't know what he does, but why are we bringing somebody else on when we don't even know what's going on to begin with? I am totally against toll roads. I do not want my money going to Spain, and that's where most of our money is going right now. And as far as the diversions, I think if they stop the diversions on all levels, on all of the different issues, then we would have more money for our roads as well as other issues down in Austin that can be taken care of. So that's where I stand on that.
Dr. Nguyen.
Short answer is no to raising the motor fuel tax. Currently, it's 20 cents per gallon at the state level. Now, our budget per annum for TxDOT is about $21 billion. That includes motor fuel tax from the state, federal dollars, and fees that we impose here in Texas. Now, after the 25% constitutional amendment that requires us to divert it to education, motor fuel tax for the state raises about $4.6 billion. Now, people talk about raising this 10%, 10 cents more. That's a 50% increase. So after the educational diversion, that's going to net you about $2.3 billion. Well, guess what, folks? We divert $2.2 billion to other things that do not build a road or maintain a road. So if we stop the diversions alone, that makes up for that tax increase. But it also does something else. It shows more transparency in those other agencies that we are using motor fuel dollars for.
Okay, we're going to hope that this microphone ends up working out. So we will stop if it goes out. We'll stop and make sure that you're able to complete your thoughts. With a lack of rain in North Texas last year, many cities have placed water restrictions to ensure the water supply is not interrupted. What do you plan on doing to ensure a source of water for the future of North Texas? Mr. Ratliff.
Given that I'm the only trained civil engineer in the bunch, this is something that's pretty much a passion of mine. The statewide water plan has been around for a number of years, but we've not found a way to pay for it. And I think we're starting to see that. Lake Lavon was a large mud puddle last summer, and I think there were a lot of cities that were pretty worried about that they're running out of water. The zebra mussels in Lakes Texoma have restricted our water use out of that lake to the point that there's no drinking water coming out of it today to speak of. Those are significant issues that face our state. And in addition to that, it took 45 years to get our last reservoir online. Well, 45 years from now is too long to wait for another reservoir. We've got to develop a system to fund our water plan. I have a system that we've used at the municipal level where we fund where new growth pays for new capacity, and I believe we can take that to the state level so that as people move into our state and increase the demand on our water systems, they're the ones that pay for it, not current taxpayers, not current landowners, and certainly not our current businesses paying for it. But I think as growth needs to pay for itself, and I think that's the way to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Rinaldi?
First, I would hire a bunch of engineers because I just discovered tonight that there's nothing they can't do. We have a state water plan. We have a state water plan that looks to provide water through a mix of conservation, groundwater strategies, and the like. Problem is, we're not funding it. So it is a budget-related problem. On one hand, we would have to find ways to fund the state water plan that's currently in place. Secondly, one development over the past few months was the Supreme Court found a vested private property right in groundwater. We're hoping, or I'm hoping, that the vested private property right provides more incentives for private groundwater development projects. We'd have to see how that pans out. There's an enormous cache of groundwater. Hopefully, private profit motive provides an incentive to develop those.
I think the issue of water is I think the issue of water is essential for our state because of the population growth and the changing weather conditions. Conservation, of course, is always the first and obviously the easiest way to go. But we need to consider working with our aquifers, finding ways to desalinate them when they become unusable. And there have been projects where they have taken effluent water, wastewater, scoured it through marshes in East Fork of the Trinity, which have produced enough water for 500,000 people for a year in this area. In addition, as Ben has said, new reservoirs are essential. Reservoirs to remodel or re-dredge a reservoir is hugely expensive as opposed to the expensive cost of building one. But if we don't build them now, when they would cost about $9 billion to build the reservoirs we need, by 2060 it will cost $98 billion. So this is something that needs to be dealt with sooner rather than later.
I did some research because remember, I'm your citizen candidate. I don't know everything like my opponents. They're amazing. There is a $53 billion shortfall, apparently, in funding our water. As you all know, we're, I think, 80, 90% made up of water as human beings. So we definitely need this. In West Texas, I did do some research, and they have a lot of underground water. The problem is the EPA and some of these meter guys. It's like in order to let these guys drill on their own land, they have to purchase a meter and have it installed so that the EPA or some Fed people know exactly how much water they're extracting. Well, you know what? That's private property. They can do what they want. They should be able to do what they want. And lastly, I just want to say on the local level, I know that in Farmers Branch, we have an agreement with Carrollton and Addison, who are our sister cities, and we work together to make sure that our cities have the right amount of water for everything.
Dr. Wynn?
Well, as Tony said, conservation is an important aspect of how we're going to keep enough water. Now, last November, we had a constitutional amendment, and the voters spoke and allowed the Water Authority to issue up to $6 billion of bond on a revolving. Now, that will provide some resources there. So let's be sure that we need it before we start trying to go out and raise taxes and fees. Now, water's a commodity. People will buy. I'm a free market person. Let the free market on the need for water be decided that way. That $53 billion that Lib researched on, that's the actual price tag, estimated price tag of our 50-year water plan. Now, I've heard people say, let's assess the fee to new development, impact fee, some people call them. You know, guys, in this economic times, I'm not sure I want to assess $53 billion tax on new development. That doesn't seem like how you make an economy grow.
Mr. Livo?
Thank you, Tony. The problem with water, scarcity of water, can be solved by two ways. Number one of the problems, I'm from West Texas, and so water is like gold. The problem that they have is that you can find water, but you don't have enough transmission lines to get in there. So that's the one thing, number one, and you should do that by issuing bonds to transmit from out of state or from the Gulf to areas that we need water. Number two, I recently was in Israel, and they have what they started to do. Israel looks a lot like West Texas, El Paso, and so forth, but they have tried to build desalting plants to produce more fresh water from salt water. I think Texas should use bonds to set that up because we don't have any on the Gulf Coast, and then use the transmission to get them to places where we need water. Thank you.
Is that going to reach all the way to Mr. Rinaldi?
You're first this time.
Very good. Yeah, that works. Okay. I apologize. We are at the part of our forum where we're going to have the closing remarks. So each candidate gets 2 minutes closing remarks. Mr. Rinaldi, we'll start with you.
What this election is about is keeping Texas's status as the strongest business state in the country. And as I said in my opening, in order to do that, we need to elect strong, principled conservatives who will keep government small and keep taxes low while still providing for our education needs and protecting life and enacting strong immigration reform. I'm the only conservative candidate in this race who's been endorsed by Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, who's been endorsed by Texas Right to Life and Texas Alliance for Life. I've been endorsed by Young Conservatives of Texas. I've been endorsed by the 4 of the most conservative members of the House currently, Ken Paxton, Jody Laubenberg, James White, and Brian Hughes. I've been endorsed by Kelly Shackelford of the Liberty Institute and former state party chairman Kathy Adams. The conservatives who are fighting for us in Austin right now are almost unanimously supporting my campaign. They need reinforcements and they need help. And they've asked you to send me to Austin to help them. And that's why I'm asking for your vote here tonight. My name's Matt Rinaldi, running for House District 115. My website is www.mattrinaldi.com. It's RINALDI. I look forward to talking with you after. Thank you for having us. Thank you for listening to us, and God bless. Thank you.
Actually, it's Ms. Fabishek. Sorry.
Sorry, I thought we were going the opposite direction.
Here it comes. That's okay.
Okay. I'm a woman, obviously, a mother, an educator, a former small business owner, and a very proud citizen of the state of Texas. I think this is a wonderful state with huge potential. I mean, it's always had potential. Its potential is only greater as we move forward. The population shift to Texas recognizes that fact. But I think there are issues facing Texas, issues that have to be dealt with sooner rather than later. Education, jobs, healthcare, roads, water. These are big issues. These are costly issues. And these are issues that we need to work together to solve. There's been so much anger on both sides that I think that working together is very important. This country does best when it works together. And I think I would ask for your support in the coming election, at least to think about me as an alternative. Look at my website, maryclairefortexas.org. And as Jim Hightower said, any jackass can kick down a barn, but it takes a carpenter to build one. And in this coming election, it's important to elect carpenters, not jackasses. And just in closing, as a woman of faith, I want to wish all of my Republican opponents good luck on the road to the runoff.
Thank you, Mary Claire.
Ms. Grimmett?
I'm sure we all appreciate that. In closing, I just want to say that for me, this has been a journey. This has been a life journey. This has been a life lesson. I got into this race because I didn't feel like we were being represented. And with all due respect to Jim Jackson, who I like and admire, he was not doing what his citizens wanted him to do. We decided as a group of us that have met for the last 6 or 7 years to discuss politics and what goes on in the state of Texas and the nation, that we're in trouble. We're in trouble in this nation. We're in trouble in this state. And regardless of how great Texas is, and believe me, I'm a native. I was born and raised here. There isn't anybody who loves this state more than me. We've got some issues down in Austin that have to be taken care of. The people that are running Austin right now are running it with special interests, lobbyists, and businesses that sway their votes on everything. And you can ask anybody who's been down there that those streets down there are paved with lobbyists. They see them daily. It was my commitment when I got into this race that we would take no money from lobbyists, special interests, businesses, or anybody who could sway our vote. I have not. It is also my commitment to the citizens of this district that because I am the one that was raised here, I have watched the different cities grow. I think I know the dynamics of what goes on in each city. Not one size fits all. What's good for Coppell is not necessarily always good for Farmers Branch. What's good for Farmers Branch isn't good for Carrollton sometimes, and the same goes for Irving. So we need somebody who can differentiate that and discern that. I believe God has given me that discernment. He has guided my path through this whole thing. He is the guiding force behind my campaign. So if you're tired of status quo, if you want a citizen to represent you and not an establishment candidate, I'm your girl. Thank you.
Dr. Nguyen?
Finally, the election is here. Let's elect someone who will actually promote the needs and the concerns of the citizens of the district. And I think that this person needs to have real life experience in areas that are important to Texas. Jobs and the economy, health care, education, and the need to protect Texas families. I am that person. As a small business owner and a member of the Comptroller Business Council in Austin, I certainly understand the needs of small business owners and employers. As a doctor for 15 years and serving on the Governor's Health Council in Austin, I certainly understand our health care challenges. As a husband and father to little kids in public school, I certainly understand the importance of education and the need to protect our families. Now, what I will do, what I pledge to do is I'm going to fight to keep our taxes low, improve our health care system, and I will fight to reform our educational funding formula that is so punitive to this district here. I'll also work to keep government small and out of our daily lives. Now, there will be some that tell you that they're the best candidate because they've been endorsed by different special interest groups or politicians. Well, my belief is that here in America, the voters still get to pick their own representative. So for me, the most important endorsement is yours. Now, I came to America as a little boy, didn't speak a lick of English. And it's been such a blessing to be able to raise my family here in Texas, to be able to live the American dream. And I remind folks, other immigrants, look, America isn't just a place. It's a way of life, one that requires you learn our language, our culture, and a rule of law. You come here legally, you pay your taxes, you work hard, don't expect entitlement or demand it, and you too can live that American dream. If you share my values, again, send me to Austin and I'll fight for yours.
Mr. Aluva?
Thank you, Tony. I want to thank you and the Chamber for all these countless evenings. It's been a pleasure and honor, but it's time to go home. Anyway, thank you very much. I've enjoyed this. And I'm very honored to be standing before you. I mean, all of us, it's a dream, and this country is a dream. But it's very tough sometimes for people to stand up. Some of the best people don't run because it's a hassle. It costs money and so forth. You know that, I know that. There's some of you out there that are better fit than probably all of us to serve. But because of reasons, you have not done that. It's just a tough thing to do. So this has been a marathon for me, and I thank all my competitors, and I hope that I will survive to November to meet Mary, and we can wrestle, whatever he wants to do, we can do that. But anyway, but regardless of that, I want to thank you for the time. I came into this race because they needed somebody who had the background, who, as an adult, and could do that, has served. There's only two people that actually served in office here. That's Bennett and myself, school district, and I have city council. So we have done that kind of thing. You're going to have to decide which one is better. Is it something that you want, the money, endorsements, or is it background? If you look at my record, I think you realize why I was brought into this race, because I can do that job. I'm a very basic person. I understand I've dealt with government issues before. I know most of the people that are involved, but I have no endorsements. I have no endorsements of anybody, because I don't want any. On the other hand, the money that I have has come basically from the district and from small people. That's been my life. So if you want me to do the best I can, help you out, help you, help ourselves, help our nation, I would be extremely honored to serve you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Ratliff?
Thank y'all for hosting this tonight, and thank y'all all for taking time out of your evenings to be here. I know it's been a long haul for the last 9 months, and for a lot of us, and I appreciate y'all coming to listen to us one more time. I think this election is about really one thing. It's about our community. It's about who is the best person to go to Austin to represent our community. Who's the person that's been working in our community, that's been volunteering in our community, that's been elected by our community as a representative. This election is not about which special interest group has the most money that they can put into a campaign. This election is not about a bunch of people from outside our district telling us who we ought to vote for. This election is about people in our community deciding. In my campaign, I'm privileged to be endorsed by every single elected official in Coppell. The city council, the school board, the county commissioner, the state senator, and the state representative have all endorsed me as the right guy to go to Austin. The reason they have is because, as Jim Jackson has said, we need a workhorse, not a show horse. We need somebody that's going to go to Austin and pay attention to the details, that's going to pay attention to our community, and that's going to represent us, not an outside group, not a wealthy group, not a group that doesn't have a basis in our community, but represent us in Austin. That's who I am. That's what I've done my whole life. I've raised my family here. I've served on your school board and served your children to make sure they get a great education. I've founded my business here. I've created jobs here, and I live here every day, all day, work, play, raise my family. I don't leave our area to go to work. I don't leave our area for anything. I'm here because I'm a community member, and that's what I believe in. Coppell and Northwest Dallas County are my home. I was born in Fort Worth. I was raised in Texas, and that's where my values are. I'm a man of faith. I'm a man of family, and I'm a man that believes in fiscal responsibility for our community and going to Austin and doing what's best for our families. And I'd appreciate your vote on the 29th, or early voting right now for Bennett Ratliff. Thank you.
That concludes our final candidates forum. Again, I want to thank all the candidates for coming tonight. Thank the audience, CISD, DFW Video, and our own Sebastian Mancera for continuing to put the videos online for more people to see. So we really appreciate it. I believe the candidates have been invited to stay a while if you have any further questions. So we invite you all to come up and ask them your own questions. Thank you again.